as you heard in the interview, Chris Day trialling a new break halfway between a 𝗪𝗪𝗃𝗀𝗃 and a Rob Warren, which, well, if he keeps breaking like that, I think he'll be pretty pleased with it. That's a stonking break first up.
Yeah, as he's queuing up for it, I'm thinking this isn't going to be a great option. Hand on the table, queuing like that, you're queuing down on the balls. You're going to have to cue that really smooth, otherwise you're going to get that cue ball bouncing everywhere. But hit that like a dream, and he did keep it smooth, and he didn't get the cue ball bouncing, and he drove an awful lot of power through the pack. So you have to say, very good that from Chris Day. And now they've got the clearance to make, and yellows look obvious, but where's the 8-ball going? Does it go in the left centre off the 8-ball? Okay, so I think the plan here, and that's very well executed to land here, is to play the yellow off the red, which will pop the 8-ball into play as well. There wasn't much room to land on this yellow and to land on it so well, so it's excellent thinking from the partnership and good execution. Well, they didn't play it off the red, so
yeah, cancel your last.
They must be comfortable that the red will go off. Sorry, the 8-ball will go off the red, or they can go into it now. The problem with going into it so late, and they're, what, 4 shots through their visit, is you're limited on the number of balls you can land on. So if this was their plan originally, then the execution wasn't great, because they should have landed on that angle after the first shot. Now it's a big shot required. Very big shot. It looks like he's playing this off the red.
Oh, what a shot. And he's short on the cue ball.
Well,
shot
yeah.
to play here for CD.
I thought that was going to be perfect for a second, and then cue balls just kept going enough to make this a very awkward shot for Chris Day. Pot isn't the problem here, it's the cue ball. All eyes on the path.
Oh, and it's going to end up nearly in the top left sack over there. And it's already some fun and games. Sarcastic tap of the table. The one thing you would say, they're on it.
Yeah, he's on it. He's not even going to take it on. You can't go 2 cushions here. It would be madness to go 2. He was looking at 2 cushions.
Yeah, Chris waved it down the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, such a tough shot.
Really tough shot that for 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏. One thing you would say, he has all the tricks, the knowledge, the skills, the cue ball and everything else. Isn't known for his out-and-out queuing of great pots like that. That isn't his forte. Don't get me wrong, he's still very good at it, but compared to some of the other top players.
I was about to say, I genuinely think, in his heart of hearts, if you asked Carl Morris to take that shot on 2 cushions versus asking him to take it down the rail as it was, I think he makes it more regularly off 2 cushions.
I think there's some sport psychology in that as well, but that's a very disappointing first shot from the bouncer. It really is. Gift.
Yeah, Chris Day's not going to turn that down. 1-0 in the end to Chris Day and Carl Morris. And a shot to forget for Simon Fitzsimmons.
Well, that's the Scotch frame out the way for the 2 of them. Now they can focus on the individual game, where they'll just probably let each other flow a little bit, unless it's deep in the match on the match clock, which it won't be for a little while yet. And interesting that this partnership are going this way round. Normally, you put your stronger player second, going on the right-hand side of the arena, because you'd play... Oh, they are. That is the way they're going.
Back in your box, Fitzy.
Yeah, Simon was just super keen to get out there.
Probably will be after that first shot in the first frame there from Cy Fitz. This is Dave Hunt then. First break off for him. Oh, bang. I hope everyone continues to break as well like this tonight. You just can't believe that's dry, to be honest. And Simon Fitz gives him a knowing look as if he goes, yeah, that's what I've been doing a lot recently as well, pal. Because Simon Fitzsimmons, you haven't seen it yet, has one of the biggest breaks in the entire Ultimate Pool Pro Series.
Look how excited Chris Day is for 𝗏𝗏𝘀𝗀 Morris getting this opportunity. And it's a really good one. There is no issues here with this layout.
Notice there Carl wearing his hearing aid. It's actually not often that he plays with it in, but obviously in the pairs, he's teaming with a guy that he probably needs to hear, so that's why he'll be wearing it. Carl often prefers to play without it, and he is deaf, so he's always preferred to go without. Even in the sort of shot clock, match clock era with all the beeps and buzzes that happen, there's enough going on the screens to let him know sort of what he needs to know. And actually his sense of time, by and large, has been astonishingly good. Especially I remember in year one he made 2 or 3 unbelievable buzzer beaters. One thing I would say is we came from a successful 𝗏𝗏 Morris buzzer beater away from a 4-way 6-red shootout in the Champions League this year, where he got a buzzer beater ever so slightly wrong and missed out on it by 10 seconds. And if he'd have made that, we'd have had our first ever 4-way 6-red shootout, which Simon Webb has been pushing for ever since we began. It's been 4 years, we've still yet to have one. Might be tonight. That's why you keep turning up.
Carl could have worked these in a number of different ways. Just has to be careful. You don't want to land straight on the red, and you don't want to have the yellow come into traffic, but you've got all the room in the world here. There really isn't any issues.
Yeah, he's worked them out really well. We alluded to in the first frame, Carl is pretty self-critical actually of how good a cueist he is. It's certainly not orthodox, but it really works for him. But what he has always prided himself on is his mental side of the game. You heard him speak about it in his interview, about his mental strength, which has always been really well renowned. But his ability to see patterns, but also they're quite unique because he sees patterns in a very different way than, you know, someone else of that era might see them. Someone like a Mick Hill or a 𝗏𝗏𝗘 or a Chris Melling. They're far more orthodox, whereas Carl can be a bit outside the box because he maybe feels he doesn't have the same ability as those players naturally with the cue in his arm.
And he's had to reinvent himself as well. I agree with everything you just said, but he's had to reinvent himself for this new era, this you know, international 8-ball rules, but also the match clock and shot clock, and he really does look at all aspects and try to make things work for him.
That's a big old break, that, from Chris Day. And once again, a big old break, not rewarded with a ball. I mean, we've seen, what's this, frame 3, so that's the 3rd break we've seen. All 3 have been absolutely creamed. Only one of them has yielded an actual ball in a hole.
Yeah, small sample size from Chris. I'll be amazed if that break lasts the test of time for Chris Day. He's a tinkerer, he will chop and change a lot anyway, but I'll be surprised if this is the one he lands on for any prolonged period of time. I think he's got some better breaks up his sleeve than what he's using there.
So Simon Fitzsimmons to the table. The man they call the bouncer. You can use your own imagination as to why.
Next 2 shots are key. Drop this one in, try and land. Either go into him now or land on the plant. Could have done with going the other side of the 8-ball. He didn't want the cannon in the 8-ball. If he goes the other side of the 8-ball, you play the plant, and then it's just a soft cannon into the yellow to bring the other red into play. Looks off angle now.
Here we see our next-gen players. They'll be in action in match 2. Actually, the younger of the two, Kai on the right there, actually been a practice partner of Simon Fitzsimmons for the last couple of years. That is a fabulous shot, and he's not been rewarded. That's tough.
Yeah, because he didn't quite get the cue ball right on the previous shot, he had to be more creative, and he was. And he is very unlucky not to land better than, well, to not be on anything. He would have taken any sort of shot, especially with a ball over the top left. The way he played that, it was almost impossible. He would have felt not to be on something. But he had to play, you know, if he got the other shot right, he would have been 100% certain rather than 99.
Going to be kicking at this. Not to beat. Tough one for Fitzy, that.
Might not have left Chris anything on here. Unless Chris can see this one to top right. I'm not sure he's got a ball available.
Yeah, and difficult to sort of keep the table safe. I wonder if he can drift the one he's closest to up the table and disturb that red top left, maybe hold an advantage, or is he going to find a creative way to go?
Or does this go through the gap? If not, is there a plant available? That's the plant. I mean, that's the position he was put into from Simon. You have to say, you know, obviously he was playing the kick shot, a little bit fortunate not to leave anything easier than that, and no safety options. So he's going to get a second chance, and wide open here. No reason for Simon not to get out now.
Yeah, and maybe psychologically that's the sort of boost that Fitzy needed. You can see already in this frame where he's played one shot ever so slightly wrong, hasn't come out. He's then played a great recovery shot and he's ended up dead in the water. And you can see he's already sort of walking around the table, looking up at the sky a little bit and a bit negative. Whereas if he can pull this out, having got a bit of run to get back to the table, maybe it'll cheer his spirits some.
The red goes in the side pocket. For a second there I thought it didn't. He was trying to play for it in the bottom right, which would have been strange because the easiest way to play on the red was top right, but this goes in the side, so not much of an issue. That is.
Oh, sigh.
He is right up there in the list of top players at the double. Problem is, I'm not sure the double's on. Might have to kick this.
Yeah, this isn't easy at all. It is the kick. It's a great effort, but not to be. Chris Day with a chance to take a 3-0 lead for his partnership. Avoiding the 8 ball off that red was so key. Knocking it into the position he did, really unhelpful.
Still not easy for Chris Day to get out here, but he should absolutely win the frame.
Yeah, and the thing is Chris is clever enough to know that there's no prizes for winning this frame in one visit, and his team are 2-0 up with 6.5 minutes left. It almost does him a favour to win this in a slightly longer way.
Left him another kick shot. This is makeable again. Maybe once again not left him anything. I suppose he is on the one to top left. If he's straight enough, he can get on the one on the top cushion, assuming the one below the one on the top cushion doesn't pass it, in which case it's really routine from here.
Yeah, we mentioned the Champions League as a tournament that all these players played in, bar Dave actually, earlier on in the year. We talked about Carl's failed buzzer beater. Chris took out one of the best buzzer beaters we'll see all season in his group in the Champions League. He's a very, very good exponent of the shot and match clock. Got good feel and knowledge out there. He's an amazing shot maker. When required, of course. Which you'll be hoping isn't that often tonight.
Might be playing a little clever shot here. the reason I thought that he might play the inside one to the bottom right and bump into the other one, trying to make the one in the centre rather than the one in the corner, was that the last thing you want to do is leave yourself too straight on this ball. This is a pretty poor shot to end up this straight.
Second shot clock in play.
Half the recovery.
Yeah, only half though.
Can he get enough purchase on this? If he can, middle of the top cushion, trace aside, and he's tracking the perfect line. Yeah, he's fine. And this time it doesn't matter if you finished, you know, 2 straight, because you take the 8 ball from somewhere near the middle pocket anyway. Now he's got that turn of angle, he can just get the cue ball off the cushion a few rolls, and he's worked himself into a good position.
Tidy finish this from Chris Day. But it will be another one that will feel like it got away for Simon Fitzsimmons. 3-0 lead for Chris Day and 𝗏𝗏 Morris, but in 2 of the 3 frames, Si Fitz has run aground.
He'll be disappointed. Or Simon, he made, like I said, 2 chances in that frame, made the mistake in the opener. They could easily be a couple in front here, or in front, 2 to 1 maybe. So very disappointing for them. Nothing you could do about the frame that 𝗏𝗏 Morris won. That happens, you're going to have finishes from the break, but when you don't take your opportunities, bad things happen.
Scotch frame coming up for these 4. Si Fitz cut breaking is not what I had on my bingo card, but necessary evil he'll see it as. 1, to keep the cue ball on the table. 2, he's got to go golden break chasing. He is, however, dry.
Extension called.
Just heard Carl let our referee 𝗟𝗏𝗙𝗃 know that he's attempting the yellow. It's one of the rare occasions in international 8-ball rules where you do have to let your opponent, let your referee know what's going on, because it wasn't obvious as he was down on the shot whether he was playing the red or the yellow. I mean, it was obvious that he was trying to pop the yellow, but could have been playing a safety off the red, so that's why you have to nominate. Now those 2 are out of the way. Should be plain sailing here for a 4-0 victory.
Yeah, all the heavy lifting done here.
Yeah, Carl just saying to Chris, I want you to put me on that one, and I agree with Carl there. You wanted to get that one at the top of the table out of the way, leave 2 down. And if you were going to go and leave 1 down, then you want to get the one on the cushion out of the way, not this one.
What I love is Carl, before playing the shot, giving Chris a telling off to then play the shot. We used to having some fun out there.
Yeah. I agree with Carl, though. It was a poor choice from Chris.
Do you know what I didn't have on my bingo card tonight was Simon Webb saying, I agree with Carl, though.
Nor did I. But he knows his stuff out there, this Carl, and he's not a bad person to kind of learn from when it comes to this sort of stuff.
Excellent shot from 𝗏𝗏 Morris, and Chris Day is going to seal the deal. 4-0 start. Excellent beginning from Chris Day and 𝗏𝗏 Morris. Group favourites they may be, but you've got to live up to that billing, and they've started with a 4-0 victory. And they're having a very lovely time too.